What is up, everybody? Welcome back. It is your favorite director's favorite director in the famous words of Alison De Laurentiis. Did you miss me? Welcome back to the channel. It feels like it's been forever. It never really has, though, has it? Welcome back. I am happy that you're here. I'm gonna start off with how are you? How are you doing? How's your mental health? I hope that you're finding peace in this crazy world, especially right now. Last episode, we watched a compilation of Kitty's abuse. That was really important for me because I needed to see her side of it. I think that oftentimes we always hear about Jose's side of it, and it's obviously gross and disgusting and disturbing, but we don't hear enough of Kitty's. I think that oftentimes it's easy to just kind of see her as a victim of, this heinous crime while she didn't do anything, but seeing and witnessing and hearing about her abuse kind of puts into perspective that yes, she's a victim of this crime still, but she was also just as guilty as Jose in regards to what was happening to the boys inside of that house. So that was important for me to see. With that being said, a lot of you guys told me to react to one of the videos. I think it was like the last one in that playlist, which is in the new playlist that I found. This playlist is going to be super heavy from the beginning, just so you guys are aware. I just want to clarify and kind of forewarn you that this is going to be about the sexual abuse of the boys, unfortunately. So they have this one, then there's a video of the physical abuse, and then there's a video of like that final week. So there's a lot of playlists on here. I think that this is just a good place for me to kind of get as much information that I am getting in a shorter amount of time than it would take for me to watch the entire trials. And that's just for the sake of time and getting these to you guys, because I do want to, catch all the way up so that I'm able to talk about what's like the new recent developments and what's going on with them. So we're going to watch this playlist for this video. I'm extending my hand to the camera and holding yours if you need me to. For those of you who might be or have found yourself in this situation, I am sending so much love and healing and protection your way, and I hope that you make it out of this, or you are healing in a swift way that allows you to still try to find joy in life. With that all being said, obviously you can find me over on Patreon. I think Patreon might be where I potentially watch the full trial. Let me know if that's something you guys do want to see. If so, then I guess, but I'm just gonna post all of my full reactions over there, and a couple of other things about the Menendez brothers that I might not post on YouTube, just maybe some stuff that I do in my own time, phone calls and stuff like that. So there's so much footage, there's so much information, there's so much knowledge out there that I'm just trying to do my best to kind of find the right points of knowledge and watch those. So that is what we will be doing for the next week or so, is just kind of diving even deeper into the Menendez stuff. With that being said, you know the drill. Let's jump right in. If you're new, welcome. If you're not, you know what that means. Pull up a seat, lay in bed, grab some snacks, and let's watch it.
Fondle me, and he would ask me to do the same with him, and I would touch him, and we would undress.
Where would this take place?
In my bedroom.
I want to point out why this is such a big deal. Obviously, for a lot of reasons, right? It's a big deal for a multitude of reasons. But when you think about living at home with your parents, or living at home and having roommates in general, oftentimes you'll find that there's a lot of shared space, okay? So if, for example, I live in a 3-bedroom house, we have a guest room, and I have my own bathroom, and then my roommates have their own bathroom. But if somebody is staying over in the guest room, my space, which is my bathroom, becomes a shared space. Just like the living room is a shared space, the kitchen is a shared space. So the only place that is not a shared space that I have is my bedroom, which I guess I can't even say that now because it is a shared space. It's shared with all of you. But in terms of like physically, this is the only non-shared space I have, so that becomes your safe space really quickly, especially if you tailor it to be who you are and what you would want in that space with you. So when these acts were being committed against the boys, either of them, but for in this situation Lyle, your safe space is no longer safe. So there was genuinely nowhere in his house, in his home, that he ever felt safe, or that it was his space in particular. And that is such a, I was going to say the word domineering, which we know that that's who his dad was. So obviously it's domineering behavior on the dad's part, but it is so, unsettling when you don't have a landing space, right? When there's not a grounding space, where there's not a space that you can go, that you can say, this is my space, I create the energy here, and nobody is allowed in this space without my permission. So when you don't have that, it's really easy to feel super unsettled. And clearly that's what this is what his whole life has been: unsettling, chaotic, painful. So I can only imagine at 6 years old, you don't have a safe space. I can't even imagine it.
He would guide me, all my movements, and I would have oral sex with him. He'd have a tube of Vaseline, and he just played with me. This
is not the 21-year-old version of Lyle recounting this, by the way. This is the 6 and 7 and 8-year-old version of him having to talk about what was happening. Yes, those emotions are going to stay with him until he's 21, until after everything has stopped, essentially. However, when you are recounting something that happened to you, you don't have a choice but to go back and revert to who you were in that moment. And so that, coupled with doing this for the first time in front of everybody, tripled with not even really wanting to use this defense. He didn't want to. He felt like he was ruining his father or killing his father all over again by talking about this. So all of those emotions are coming up to the surface, which is why he's so emotional. But like I said, this is the 6 to 8-year-old version of him recounting these events. It's not the 21-year-old version of him. And he may never really understand how to kind of revisit and not be there. I think that over time, I definitely think that that's helped. But the emotion, even when I'm emotional, it's like thinking about this 7-year-old that was put in that position by the person that he trusted the most. And it sucks because we'll always be talking about that, right? That'll always be the topic of the conversation, is these children trusted their parents to protect them and to keep them safe and to love them. But they were put in the most vulnerable positions, and they couldn't do anything to stop it.
I just told him that I didn't want to do this, and that it hurt me. And he said that he didn't mean to hurt me. And he loved me.
This, a couple of things here. To watch this and believe that he's acting is actually kind of baffling. Just because either he's a great actor or he's telling the truth. And I don't think that Lyle was a good actor. I don't think that anybody thinks about things like that, though. I think and one of the playlists on here is like the media's portrayal and like what was going on, like the SNL skit, obviously. And even in those moments, it was like in what world is that okay to make, like I get confused as to why it would be okay to make fun of this in any capacity. Even if they were lying, you making fun of it prevents other victims from coming forward for fear that you are going to do the same thing to them. So I don't understand that aspect of it. And again, I think that it's so important to note that this was the defense's job. They had to get to the truth, and they did. And so when you're watching him take the stand and he is emotional and he is a wreck and he can't even get through a sentence without crying, and he's got to take a minute to breathe and to catch his breath. His lip is quivering. He is in pain. He is reliving this over and over and over again. And it's bad enough that he went through it the first time. It's bad enough that he's going through it 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more times reliving it. Then you're going to make fun of him on top of that. And you don't believe him. Why would a victim want to come forward during this time? That doesn't even make sense to me. It's like you're perpetuating a reality in a society where victims have to stay quiet because nobody's going to believe them. Not in this generation, not in this lifetime, babes. Unfortunate.
What did your mom say?
She told me to stop it and that I was exaggerating. And that...
Stop it. Erik's lawyer comforting him. Literally stop it. This is the sweetest, most sweet thing I've ever seen in my entire life. This is all they needed. All they wanted was somebody to love them. And I'm sorry I paused right in the middle of when he was going to talk about Kitty because we already know how this story goes.
When this was going on, did you tell your brother?
No.
Did you do something to your brother?
And I played with Erik in the same way. And I'm sorry. That I knew what was going on with him and Erik, and I heard noises, and that I wanted him to leave Erik alone.
Okay. How am I feeling about that? I think towards the end there, when he talks about his brother and how he kind of repeated the cycle with his brother, I guess what I would say in that moment is, why would he? Okay, so if Lyle, I don't even like playing. I don't even like playing devil's advocate with this situation for so many reasons, but I'm going to for this scenario. If Lyle and Erik were lying about the sexual abuse of their father and their mother, why would Lyle admit to sexually abusing his brother? Because that's what he did as well. It's what he did, but it was just kind of this pattern because he didn't know any better. I think that there was God, like I said, it messes up your love map. You don't know, you know that it's wrong because it hurts you, but you go and you do it to somebody else because it's what you know. And I do also think that for Lyle, when his dad was doing this to him, he felt like it was the time in which his father loved him. So that could have played a factor in why he did it to Erik, despite knowing that despite it hurting him, despite knowing that it was something that caused pain. I think that I don't know how much stock I can even put in monsters, honestly, at this point, but there's this understanding that most of the time the cycle is not continued. I'll say that. It's actually rare that the cycle is continued, I believe, for reasons of like, I know what that feels like, so why would I do that to somebody else? But in this situation with Lyle and Erik, I don't like using the word sexual abuse because Lyle was just, especially in that moment, right? 6 to 8 years old. what his father is doing isn't right, but I don't know that, and I know that they knew that. This is okay. Bear with me as I'm working through this problem in my head, and maybe some of you can help me with it. Oh my God. Erik was sexually abused by his father. Lyle was sexually abused by his father. Erik and Lyle, though, when it was happening between Erik and Lyle, I feel like it was more Lyle trying to figure out if this was normal. Was this normal? Which is why I said I don't know how much stock I put in Monsters, because there's that portion where Lyle is on the stand in Monsters and he says, well, I don't know if he said it in there, but I know he said it to the defense attorneys. He said, I had to make it normal because I knew that it wasn't. And I think that that's a pretty common concept. I don't even want to give credit, but it's a common concept. I know that this isn't normal, so I have to make it normal. It would be normal if I did this to my brother. But I do believe that he stopped doing it quickly. Like it wasn't something that was just ongoing. And if I'm not mistaken, Erik forgave his brother. Well, that's how I feel about the end of that. Okay. We are on to Erik's testimony about it.
He turned off the lights. He put candles around the bed and on my nightstand and on my dressers, and he would light them and he would put the candles in cups.
I'm sorry. Was Jose trying to set the scene, set the mood for his son? Okay. Do you guys notice how like calm I've been? I'm just trying to like work on my energy and like be calm. But that was really the tipping point for me. What do you mean you were setting up candles to abuse your son? That's so weird to me. Oh God.
He told me that I was the biggest sissy and the biggest coward he had ever seen in his entire life, and that he was ashamed to have me as a son because I couldn't take the pain and I couldn't be brave. The doctor had pulled out this needle, and I was real calm and I was real relaxed until he stuck it in me, and I was screaming and crying. And
let me be very, very real with you for a second. I hate needles, shots. I hate them so much. If I have to get blood drawn, I hate it. If I have to get a shot, I hate it. But I will get a tattoo any day of the week. Now, with that being said, to sit there and say that he's weak and he's not a man and he's a sissy, that's the equivalent of somebody getting hit by a car and then looking at them after because they were crying and being like, wow, you're so weak and you're such a sissy. You just got hit by that car and you're crying about it. That's weird. We need to toughen you up. Guys, naturally, sometimes we just don't like things. Things make us cry. That's a normal human reaction. It is okay to cry. It is okay to have emotion. It is okay to show emotion. Okay? That is such a weird thing to do. God.
And
why'd you have to go out the back door of the office?
because I was embarrassed, but he was so embarrassed that he could not leave and go into a group of people who were in the doctors.
That ego, boy.
He wouldn't be doing anything with sex at that point, though. He would just have me sit on the back of the bed. He would put a towel under my legs, and he would just cut my thighs with the knife.
This is why I was like, I need to watch some of these I need to watch some of this testimony, but I don't want to watch hours long worth of testimony because it's going to take too long to get to you guys. This is why I'm watching these. He would just be okay. Can you tell I'm rethinking all of my life's decisions in this moment? It's like I didn't, and I feel like I've said this before, but it's like I didn't think it could get worse, and somehow it's gotten tremendously worse. Because at that point, he said he wasn't doing anything with sex at that point. He put a towel on me and he just cut my legs. Like, at what point does that become attempted murder, do you think? Because what if he cuts him too deep? Truthfully, I'm not even making a joke right now. I'm being so dead ass right now. What if you cut him too deep and he bleeds out? And then for me, it's like, there's no way you don't see, like, this has to scar. Kitty had to see these scars when she was doing her checks. So it's just like, at what point, like, when do we cross the threshold? Okay. And I'm genuinely asking, as somebody who I was at the entrance of the threshold in the first scene. Okay. I was at the entrance of the threshold. So when intrinsically and as a mother, maternally, do you cross the threshold into, okay, this is no longer about sexual gratification. Something is seriously wrong. My kid could die from this. But then it's like, would you have cared? Wow, I have to do some internal work on that, because I don't think Kitty would have cared. I think she would have felt like she was free. I'm cool.
And how long is this scar?
It's about that long.
I think that there's, and I believe that there was a word in there that I want to use and agree with: torture. I think that you kind of cross, and I know, guys, I was just joking about thresholds, but you cross the threshold of sexual abuse into torture when you start to do things and there's no sexual component involved. When you are just literally taking a knife and cutting your kid because you don't think that he's man enough, that is beyond baffling to me. And I really, really, really hope that is not like a traditional way of thinking. And if you know or not, if that's still a way that you know people do think, please let me know down in the comments, because I'm just so beyond disbelief when it comes to like the lack of emotion, like the emotional detachment, the emotional detachment that you have to be able to cut this thing that you've created, right? It's whoa. You have to be operating so far into your ego to do something like this. It's not even funny, because spiritually, we are not capable of such heinous things, right? In our spirit and our soul, it is the most pure and positive thing you can ever imagine. It's the ego, when that soul inhabits a body or inhabits a vessel, it's when that ego takes over that you get this. You get Jeffrey Dahmer's, you get Ted Bundy's, you get Jose and Kitty Menendez's, because it's not that you're getting Erik and Lyle Menendez, you're getting Jose and Kitty, and I think that that's where we got it wrong. And I do think that this wouldn't have even gone this far if they would not have killed their parents and they would have told somebody, because at the time, in the time frame, you can see how people react to sexual abuse. You can see it. You're witnessing it. We witness it. We witness it in the way that the prosecution talks about it. We witness it in the way that people are making fun of it. You witness how they react to it, so it wouldn't have even gotten this far. This was the only way for them to be able to ever talk about it and have anybody have the opportunity for someone to believe them. Knees. Yay.
Yes.
What did he tell you?
I don't remember exactly what he told me, but I knew why. It was so that I could practice on myself so that it wouldn't hurt anymore when he did.
Like I said, he didn't care.
He wasn't nice anymore during the sex. I need a break.
When, again, like I had said during Lyle's testimony, when he's revisiting this, he's revisiting it as the 11-year-old that just quit swimming, who thinks his dad is upset with him for that, and then the sex got violent after that. So for him, he's taking a break because he's reliving it again. This is why people say we re-victimize, right? This is why people say they don't come forward because they just feel like they're re-victimized by the justice system. This is why. I have to keep reliving it. And it's not the defense attorney's fault. She's doing her job. Leslie's obviously doing her job. She's trying to, she's doing her best to get him off, right? But in this situation, he's still being re-victimized. He still has to relive it. His dad is dead and he still has to go through this. He's still traumatized by this. That is a lot to cope with and to deal with. So I'm not surprised that he needed a break.
Because I didn't want him to come into my room when he was angry.
Even if he was angry at someone else?
Yes. Yes, he would get angry with Mom, and they would yell back and forth, and then he'd come to my room and just hit me or whatever.
I actually have no idea what is getting ready to be said. I don't know what happened, but I will say that again, safe space, right? His room is a safe space, and that has been taken away from him. And also now what I'm learning, and I don't know how many people learned this in the time, but now it's not only for sexual gratification on his father's behalf, it's anytime his dad is mad at anybody in the world, Erik is who he takes it out on, either violently by hitting him, throwing him, whatever that looks like, or sexually abusing him. And so Erik literally didn't stand a chance. He could have had the best day. He could have been quiet. Nothing could have popped up when it came to him. Nobody could have been talking about him at all. And then all of a sudden, Jose gets into a fight with Kitty, and well, he takes it out on Erik. He goes and he beats Erik. He goes and he sexually abuses Erik. So it's just like Erik was just a literal and figurative punching bag. How do you get away from that? What do you do? What do you do when the person who's doing it is the person who's supposed to protect you? What do you do when you feel like you can't run away? What do you do when you feel like there's no way out? What do you do? That's the question I'm posing. What do you do?
I had to give him a massage on my knees, and he said no, swallow, and he held my head to him. Yes.
What did he say or do?
He said, why can't you just be like your brother?
What am I gonna say? Since you seem to know me so well, what am I gonna say? What I'm gonna say is a couple of things here. I know I do this every video, huh, guys? Every episode. I know you're probably down there just looking up at us, and you're probably tossing and turning in your grave. I hope that you toss and turn for all eternity, because it's like this is the equivalent of sleeping with a prostitute. And I'm by no means is there a comparison between Erik, Lyle, and a prostitute, but I have to kind of dumb it down for myself to understand, because you finished in his mouth and then you pushed him away. Like a typical man would. You finished in his mouth, pushed him away, and then to compound everything you've just done to your son, you said, why can't you be more like your brother? That breeds resentment and competition, and it's not necessary. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. I am so over it. Guys, I'm trying so hard. I'm good though. I'm good. I don't feel any emotions. The emotion I feel right now is anger. It's anger because Jose's not here to oh, this is why he's not here right now. This is why they are not here. This is why. Because, oh, you know when you're just so like, that I could punch a brick wall right now and be fine, because it's still not a fraction of what these boys endured.
And then he said I'd get used to it and left.
And what were you doing while he was saying these things to you?
Crying.
And after he left, what happened?
I cried more.
To the door to see if he was still around the corner, and I just went to the bathroom and threw up.
Oh.
He was no longer nice. He now yelled at me all the time. He forced me to do things. I had to do whatever he said, and it didn't matter if I complained or if I said no or if I said please stop. He didn't stop.
Because he did not care. Period. I said it before and I'll say it again. He didn't care. All he cared about was himself. So then it was almost like he needed an out. He needed a scapegoat to be able to act like this, right? Because before it was like, well, I care about you and I love you and I don't want to hurt you. And then like Erik quit swimming, and all of a sudden he now has a scapegoat to be like, No, you quit swimming. I get to act however I want to act. But it's like, it was just a scapegoat. You got it out. He had an out and he used it. And it's an excuse to act like who he really is, by the way. That's just who Jose really was. The nice guy act was only to make them feel safe. These quotes are humongous. If I can do bigger quotes, I would. To make them feel safe. And then once they did, or once Erik did, it completely twisted and you got to kind of see who Jose actually is. This person. The person who doesn't care if you say no. The person who doesn't care if you say stop. That is repeated sexual assault. Repeated. And we're supposed to care that he's not here anymore? Good luck. Good luck finding that target audience.
Did your mother ever come to you?
No.
Because she knew. And she was pathetic. Ridiculous. Yeah, I think I made my opinions on that little snippet pretty clear. Annoying. We saw this one. Erik Menendez this one about the first time. Yay.
I said, Dad, you're hurting me, and he just kept on going further. At one point, I just started screaming, and I started saying, stop, it hurts, it hurts. And he just went all the way in, and I just sort of left myself.
Sorry, I was literally about to vomit, by the way. Like, in my, ooh. I'm trying to figure out words. It's like he's not even upset, or like he's not even crying and I am. Okay. Words. The amount of carelessness that went into that moment where Jose knew going in, I'm not going to stop until I get what I want. And Erik had no idea what was happening. He knew based off of what his dad said as far as the footboard, as far as what had happened prior. But in that moment, he didn't think that he wouldn't be able to say stop and it stopped. And then what he just described was having an out-of-body experience. It was so traumatizing and it was so bad that he had to physically remain and spiritually leave his body so that it could be endured for however long it needed to be for him to come back into it. The fact that he's even able to kind of piece it together like this, and I'm interested to see if he remembers anything after until it was done, but oftentimes we do that, and our spirit does that to protect us, because what just happened was so much and it was so damning and damaging to us and our soul that we don't need to remember anything like that. That is so real, and it's the greatest gift that the universe can ever give to you. And so, as weird as it sounds, I'm so grateful that he was able to experience the out-of-body portion of that versus having to live in that moment.
And he said, next time you ever scream or yell, I'm going to beat you so bad you'll never be able to scream or yell again. When I had screamed or yelled or cried out before, he had told me that if I ever did that, he was going to go all the way inside of me.
To prove a point. He did it to prove a point. He did it to prove a point. I'm beyond words right now, you guys. I'm so sorry. He to prove a point. And then now what's the most terrifying thing in this moment is this. All this did for Erik was solidify in his brain, in his mind, I can't get out, right? He told me before, if I screamed or I cried or I yelled again, he would go all the way. He went all the way. He told me this time, if I screamed or I cried or I yelled, he would beat me until I couldn't do it anymore. You just did what you said you were going to do if I did this the last time, so I would never dare do it again, because I know now that you're going to do what you said that you did. To prove a point.
Did you believe, Mr. Menendez, as you were growing up, that your father was a person who would make good on his threats?
Oh, yes. So if I ever do that, do you understand whose fault it'll be, or do you know why it will happen? And I said yes.
That is such a cop-out. You have no self-control. You can't control your damn temper, but it's my fault. You not being able to control your damn temper because I'm screaming and crying and throwing up because you're sexually abusing me over and over again. It's my fault that I'm getting beat because of that? Because you can't control your temper? No, absolutely not. Unacceptable.
What about silence, Mr. Menendez? What did he tell you?
He told me that silence was the greatest thing that man had. He said that it was the greatest power that anyone could achieve, and that with silence you could control anyone.
Silence is the best friend of somebody who is doing damning things. Don't forget that. That's the only reason why silence is power. It's when people won't speak up, when people are silent about what's happening to them. That's why he was so adamant about teaching Erik about silence. Pathetic. Pathetic. Ridiculous.
It wasn't violent. He wouldn't come in and have nice sex when he was in a bad mood. He would always do it when he wanted to relax, when he had a tough day at work, he said, and he just wanted to be comfortable with me. He would come in and have this with me.
Go have it with your wife, you
It just had me giving him massages with my mouth, him giving me massages with his mouth. And
How did you feel about these episodes?
I liked knees better because it was short.
That is so sad. I would rather do it the rough way because it was quicker.
And what was different about rough sex?
It was very strange. It was very dark.
Yeah, I don't really have much to say about that other than the fact that Jose just even saying I had a rough day at work and I just want to come be comfortable with you. Go be comfortable with your wife, you weirdo. God.
How important was this idea in your mind that going to college would end the molestation by your father?
It was the most important thing in my life. It was everything in my life. It was all I thought about.
Because it would be over. It'd be done.
I don't understand.
All right.
By the way, when he's saying I don't understand, he's saying it as Leslie is doing what she needs to do, right? She has to get him to say these things so that the jury understands. We all know why, right? We all know he's confused because he's saying, I don't understand how you can ask me why this was important to me when you know what my dad has been doing. So he's genuinely confused, whereas Leslie's not. She knows why, but she has to have him say it for the jury.
What did you think your options were with respect to sex with your father?
Options? I had no options, but I said no to him once.
You said no once.
Yes.
I think that it's really, really heartbreaking. Have you noticed that I'm not really using any other words other than the word heartbreaking? I think it's heartbreaking because as we get older, we assume, right? Like when we're little, or when he was little, I can only imagine, like, when I get older, I'm going to be able to stand up to him. When I get older, I'm going to be able to stand up to him. When I get older, I'm going to be able to stand up to him. Erik gets older, and he stands up to him, and he is punished even worse. So it's like, I can't, like, as kids, we always think when I'm an adult or when I get older, things are going to get better. But for him, it kept going. It was all the same. As a matter of fact, it was getting worse because not only was the sex continuing up through the time he was 18, now you can go to school, but you'll be coming home at least 4 times a week. And not just coming home to stay and to see your mother and so we can have family talks and family conversations. It was so that I can do what I needed to do and then you can go back. And then I can do what I need to do and then you can go back. What is interesting to me, however, though, is that Jose was even willing to let him go to school. Because, but again, at this point, when Jose has him so under kind of that Stockholm of it all, he's probably very much like, I dare you to say something to somebody about me. So I think that he believed enough, he knew enough that he was like, I beated him to never say anything.
He threw me on the bed and went to get a knife and put it at my throat.
Put the knife to your throat?
Yes.
And was there sex with your father that day?
Yes.
Like, we're talking about with a deadly weapon. Like, we are so far into felony. We are so far into death penalty shit right now that it's so crazy to me that they were the ones that were oh wow, okay, yeah. So it seems to me like justice just kind of caught up to Jose and Kitty a little bit quicker than the actual judicial system could do it, because we're talking about sexually assaulting your child with a weapon. Come on.
It started out with him coming in my bedroom and telling me to get on my knees. I was on the bed at the time.
And that was fairly common, wasn't it?
Yes.
At 17. At 17. That is insane.
I've really been building myself up to resist him in some way or fight back. I really hated myself at the time, and I disliked who I was.
I want to make this very, very apparent and clear. You, him, anybody who's ever experienced something like this should feel no shame at all. It is not on you. It was not on him, because I know he just said I hated myself. And that just reminds me that it is so easy to feel shame and to feel hate for yourself because you weren't strong enough. You didn't step up and say no. You didn't fight him off. You didn't fend him off. You didn't leave the situation. You this. Listen to yourself. I. Baby, it has nothing to do with you in regards to what they did to you. The only part of the you that is in that is that fact that you were the unfortunate victim in that scenario, because this is all on them. This is their fault. They lacked self-control. They lacked any self-restraint, and they did not care. And they do not care. So you should not feel any shame or guilt. You should not feel any hate for yourself. It is okay, especially in a time period, at least for them, when people don't believe you as it is. I couldn't even imagine feeling and holding on to all of that weight and feeling like it is all your fault. It is not your fault. It was not your responsibility to stop this. It was theirs. They should have never done it to begin with. So if you are in a situation like this, if you have been in a situation like this, I'm sending you so much love and healing, and I hope that you are finding some type of peace, because you deserve it.
And what did you think when he left the room?
I didn't know.
Did you think your resistance had worked at that point?
No, because he stormed out of that room.
So what happened next?
That makes sense.
Back with the knife.
Jesus.
Now, this knife, Mr. Menendez, is a small, medium, large?
I think it's like that.
Why are you just walking around with a big ass knife like that, Crocodile Dundee?
He put it on my neck. He put his hand on my head and put the knife on my neck.
And did he hurt you with it?
No.
Did he threaten you with it?
Yes.
What did he say?
He said I should kill you, and next time I will.
Leading, come on, bro. It's what happened. Get over it.
Did you complain?
No.
Did you resist?
No.
Did you say no?
No.
Did you just do it?
Yes.
And were you positioned in some way with respect to the mirror?
Yes.
And did he make you look?
Yes.
It was brutal, vicious, repetitive, consistent, unearthly, inhuman, to make somebody watch themselves be assaulted because all they did was try to find a way out. All they did was say, I don't want to do this anymore. All they did was say, I'm exhausted. I can't keep doing this. So to make him watch himself be brutalized by you is just so far beyond human that I can't even fathom in that moment. Like, I don't think that we talk enough about the fact that Erik is still here. Ugh. I'm good.
And how did you feel about that experience afterwards?
I really hated myself. I just wanted more than anything else that when I died, that no one would find out that this was happening to me. I wanted to die.
Well, we're glad you're still here, Erik.
People would know
People would know what?
that I was having sex with my father.
Okay. Don't worry, guys. I know I have more videos. I'm just taking a little break without the headphones because I'm going crazy. Okay, we saw that video. We are on to the beginning of sexually abusing him. Wonderful. We're getting there, guys. You're gonna be so upset with me because I'm gonna skip 2 of these videos. It's okay.
On August 20th, 1989, Mr. Menendez, did you want to kill your parents?
No, I just wanted the sex to end.
How did you cope with these things, Mr. Menendez?
I thought about the future.
College, he was gonna get away.
I felt like my life had crumbled. It felt like something that I read in a book. On March 30th, he wasn't released. On March 31st, he died.
Jesus.
I felt like the hope in the future was gone.
I have nothing further, Your Honor.
I think it was important. It's important to remember that when we look forward to things, when things are happening in our life and we look forward to them, there's a sense of euphoria around those things. Like, okay, this is it. You guys are getting closer. We count down the days. So for Erik in that moment to be counting down the moments, and when I get to be 18, when I get to college, he was thinking in those moments, when I get to college, I'm good. I'll be okay. I will learn how to deal with this. I will heal. I'll never speak about it again. I'll keep on going on living. Maybe I'll detach from my parents. I'll pretend it didn't happen. And then his dad said, you're staying. You have to be home. You have to come home. Every single plan, every thought, every wish, every hope, every dream deteriorated in that moment. And all that was left was somebody saying, if I can't escape at college in the real world, I'm never going to escape at all, ever. And he was right.
Now, when the sex started up again after the 3.5 or so months in California, this was before you had met your mother's deadline for getting a girlfriend, is that right?
To have to have a deadline, it's wild.
I was actually happy sometimes. I felt really, I looked forward to seeing her, and I felt really warm when I was with her. And
he's so precious.
Were there any new concerns that you had concerning the sex with your father now that you were seeing a girl?
no concerns about him, just concerns about her finding out about me.
What a secret to live with. That is insane.
Do you recall, Mr. Menendez, whether there were ever sexual incidents with your father on days when you had dates with your girlfriend?
Yes, I was crying and I said, I want to end the relationship. And she wouldn't let me end it.
We're gonna stop there. I know. I will revisit this, I promise you guys. I'll revisit the rest of these. I will revisit I can't even speak right now. I'm gonna revisit the rest of these or visit the rest of these and possibly the physical abuse. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna stop there to take a break so that we all have a break. I think it's a good stopping point. And I think actually what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have Rebecca compile a list of witnesses. So if you guys have any witnesses specifically that you want me to see, let me know. I definitely kind of want to, like, I want to hear her testify. I want to hear his ex testify. I want to hear the cousin testify. I want to hear Dr. Oziel testify, as much as I can't stand that fucking man. But yes, so I'm stopping here for my mental health, for your mental health, but I'm not forgetting about it, I promise. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more videos to watch just in this playlist alone. So we will get through those in the next episode, hopefully. At some point. We're gonna get through them at some point, guys. I can't make any promises. Please don't make promises that you can't. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, overall, like, I knew that the sexual abuse was bad. I knew that what they were dealing with was really bad. I'm still hearing new things, like things I did not know about. I didn't know that, like, his father would abuse him on a day where he had a date with his girlfriend. Like, it's just like, and then, like, I can't imagine how distorted your love map is and your brain is. Like, am I cheating? Am I not cheating? Like, what is happening? So I just, in relation to the whole of this playlist, I'm just truly, truly disgusted. And to listen to any of this at any point in time, I'm so tired of giving grace to the fact that it was a different time period. I'm done giving grace to that. So you don't hear me giving grace anymore? That's why. Because at any point in time, if you listen to what either of them have said on that stand and you thought that they've lied about it, baffles me. I can't even have a conversation with you at that point, if I'm being honest. So anyways, I'm going to sign off. This will be up first for Patreon. Everything that I post from now on is always going to be up first for Patreon. Patreon will probably get it a day in advance, just so that you guys are aware moving forward what that's going to look like. I think I might also have a complete collection over on Patreon of everything Menendez. So if you're noticing that I'm reacting less to Menendez on YouTube, but want me to watch anything, I'm probably watching them over on my Patreon. It's just a little bit easier over there because I can watch, react, and then just upload the entire video versus having to go in and cut up anything like that. But I've always made it a point to make sure that I cut it up for you guys because you all want to see this, and I'm enjoying seeing it. So to the best of my ability, I should say. But with that being said, obviously I'm going to see you guys in the next video. Obviously, I'm still here. Hopefully, you're still here. Hopefully, you're still with me. If you stayed all the way to the end and enjoyed it, thank you so much. If you stayed all the way to the end and hated it, I'm sorry, but thank you. I appreciate every single one of you. Again, for any of you guys that, watch this and you can relate to Erik and Lyle, I'm so sorry. I'm extending so much love and sympathy and grace to you. I hope that you heal quickly. I hope that you are healing, you're finding peace, because you deserve it. With that being said, I'm going to end this the way that I end everything because that's who I am. Be good to yourself, be kind to yourself, take care of yourself, and above all else, I love you.